Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to annotate a drawing. So that's including the leaders, the dimensions, any section callouts and detail callouts. So firstly we're going to insert a leader. So if we go to annotate, make sure Beings Annotate is checked and click on multi-leader. So for an example I'm just going to show that this is vegetation. So I've clicked on the vegetation area and picked the spot where I want my leader to end and typed in vegetation. We want all our text in all caps, unless you're writing millimeters, then that will be in lowercase. And if you're doing sizing, a lowercase x will be sufficient between numbers. So we also want to make sure that we are using the des text layer before we type. So just double clicking on the des text and yeah. And so we've done that one correctly, that's all good. Now I'm going to show you how to dimension an element. So if you go back to annotate, click on dimension after we've checked that it is Beings Drafting. So dimension, and we're just going to dimension the bottom length of the vegetation area and just drag that down. So first point, second point, and drag it down to where you need it. And that'll give us our dimension. So making sure you're snapping to these points, otherwise you won't get an accurate reading of the dimension. So once you've got all your dimensions and your leaders, we're then going to add a section detail. So we want to show the cross section of this rain garden pod. So we are going to go to the drafted template folder, quickly download the Beings callout template. So if we go to our downloads folder, I'm just going to quickly drag that into my folder that I created on the desktop. Head there and open this file up. In this drawing you'll see two different callout types. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste both of those. Don't worry about the weird sizing up of these, that's just because we've got the different scales in the layout page. We'll just come back to our drawing, paste this above. And now we've got two new blocks that we can use throughout our drawings. So if we want to use these, we'll go back to the Home tab. I'm just going to zoom into where I want to put it. Then we'll click the Insert under Blocks. Click on Section Callout. Now I'm going to specify the midpoint of this pipe and put it right on the outside of our drawing. So it's going to ask you for the detail sheet and number, but we'll click OK and leave that for now. We'll fill that in after. So this block, you can actually click on it. If you click on this little square here and then drag it out to the other side of your drawing, making sure you hold down Shift or put on your orthogonal snaps here. So now we've got a section detail call out on our drawing. If we needed to flip the direction of this section call out, we can simply click on this little arrow here once we've clicked on the block, and it will flip the arrow, and this will help show what area of your drawing is shown in the section view. Say for instance if you had something here and you wanted to show that in this cross section too. You can also rotate this call out by clicking on the point closest to the triangle and just rotating it to where you need. This could be useful if your cross section isn't 100% straight, but we'll leave it here for now. So now we'll come down to this section view that we've drawn. We may also want to show any details of this. So for example, we're going to show the curve details, so the dimensions of that. So if we want to call out this detail, we need to put a circle around it like we've done here. So just roughly around that shape. Click on Insert, scroll back up. You should find the detail call out. So just chuck that in. So specify where you want the circle to end. Once again, just hit OK and we'll deal with those later. Click on the block, click on the endpoint, and you can snap that to your circle. So now we've got a detail call out for that curve. And you've got your curve here with all your dimensions. If you want to create notes about this detail, all we have to do is click on Annotate, make sure we've got Normal clicked on, and insert a multi-line text. Create a shape. I'm going to put in notes, and now you'll need to put in bullets and numbering. So we want to turn on numbering, so this way we can number all our notes in the list. So now we've got our detail callouts, our section callouts, and all of our annotated text, dimensions, and leaders. We're going to pop over to the layout page and see how this all looks. So here we've got the plan view. We're just going to quickly click on the viewport outline, change the scale, come back to that scale, make sure all the text has automatically adjusted, and that's done perfectly. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we've put our title on the drawing, but we're also going to want to put a little subheading for this picture to really identify what we're talking about. So because this isn't a detail call out or a section call out, I'm just going to put in a simple line of text. I'm going to use the Beings 3.5 subheadings because it's a subheading. Insert multi-line text, create an area, and I'm going to call this plan view. I'm also going to highlight that also, Control A, and underline that. Save it, and then just move it to approximately the middle of the drawing. I might actually call this plan view of rain garden pod, just to be a bit more descriptive. So once again, move that to the center of your drawing and align that up pretty nicely. So now we're going to work out what detail numbering and what sheet number to put into our detail callouts and our section callouts. So for this drawing, we need to change the department and number. So we're quickly going to jump over to the drawing list in the OneDrive folder, and we'll find our plan view of rain garden pod tab 1. So this one is WR 2003. So we're going to come back to AutoCAD. WR is fine, and changing our number to 2003. We've then got our second page showing the cross section and the detail call out. We'll quickly make sure this is all capitalized. And change the drawing number to correspond with the drawing list. So that's WR 4005. So we will chuck that in. Hit OK. So now we know our drawing number here is 4005. We'll go back to this drawing. Double click into the viewport. This just gives us access to the section callout. Double click on the block. Now we'll change our detail sheet to WR 4005. With the detail number, each department will start with their own letter. So in this case, geotech starts with a D. I'll provide the list of all the different departments' letters on the side of this video. So geotech's D. And let's pretend that this was their first detail, so we're just going to start with an A. For every new detail, we need to have a different letter after the D. So this could go up to Z, and if we go over 26 details, we'll just start back at A, but do a double A. So saying this is a first detail, hitting OK. Then we've got our call out showing which page the detail is and what number it is. So double clicking out of the viewport, we'll go back over to this page. In the detail template, there will be this little template to use next to each of the layout pages as such. So for example here. So you just want to copy that to under your drawing. So we know that this one's called detail DA now, so I'll put that under there. So I'm going to quickly change this to cross section instead of detail. quickly across. Specify the scale here and change the name of the description of the detail. So with the sheet number, we're going to refer back to the page that it was called out on. So that was WR 2003. So now when we look at drawing number 2003, you'll see that we're calling out DA on WR 4005. Go to that page. We've got the cross section DA and it was called out on the page WR 2003. So now we're going to double click into this viewport and change the details of this detail callout. So we're going to call this DB, as that would be the next letter value of the details. And we're going to leave this sheet number as a dash because it's on the same page. Double click out of the viewport, come down to this detail. Using the same copied and pasted little template for this thing here, we're going to change that to DB, and because it's on the same page, keep that the same. Leave it as detail because we're looking at a detail of an object. And then we'll change this to capitals. We might just add a quick detail at the end there. So now once you finish annotating your drawing, you'll need to fill in the drawing list with your detail names that you've called out. So if we come back to the drawing list, on WR 2003 we called out detail DA, and then on WR 4005 we had DA and DB on that page. This way we'll be able to keep track of all the details and make sure none of those overlap in your department, and other departments will be able to call out those details if needed. So now you have successfully annotated your 2 drawings for your 1 object.